This is going to be the ultimate gift guide. I don't want to just do holidays because this is hopefully going to live on for a long time, whether it's for somebody's birthday, if you want to give them a gift for something else, or obviously at the holidays, a lot of this stuff is going to be very applicable. I'm going to kind of have it broken into some generalized categories, kind of by price, but not really. Like I said, this is hopefully going to last for a long time, so I don't want to say, this is this price today, and a couple years from now somebody gets mad at me and says the price has changed. So prices are going to be kind of subjective, and it's just going to be whatever I want to make them up to be, whatever categories we're doing them in. Also, this is the stuff that I use, but models change. Down the line, things might be different. So I'm just going to kind of give you some general ideas of stuff. And if you've got that one person in your life that just seems to have everything, you never know what to get them, stick around to the end, and I'm going to have kind of a bonus tip of what to get that person that already has everything. Now, some of this stuff was sent to me. I know this was sent to me. These lights were sent to me. So some of this stuff is sponsored content, I guess. No one is paying me to put any of this stuff in a video or make any of these videos, which would be awesome if somebody wants to do that. But right now, just for the full transparency, some of this stuff was sent to me. But a lot of this, like I said, is kind of more of a placeholder for different categories. Without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off at the low end, and we're going to kind of work our way to the more expensive side, and then have some other stuff that didn't fit on this table. Number one for me is coffee. If you're looking for a fairly inexpensive gift, I mean, this was like $2 for this. It's a single pour over. You probably can't see that. But you open this pack, put it over a mug, dump hot water in it, it makes a single cup. And something like this would be perfect. A bag of coffee. It'd be just nice, you're out on the trail, making coffee, hopefully looking over a beautiful mountain or a waterfall or whatever, and you start thinking about that person that got it for you. So coffee or other little food, snack, that kind of stuff. It's a thoughtful gift that really doesn't cost that much. Next is a little flashlight. This is the Streamlight MicroStream USB. This might be the only thing I actually say the name of. I love this. I carry this everywhere. This is the second one I've had. I actually gave one to the one that I used to carry, I gave to my brother as a Christmas gift. So it makes a great gift. But this thing, I think it's like 100 lumens and 250 lumens. There's two different options. So it's perfect for in the garage, working on a vehicle, whatever, just shine some light in there. He's a helicopter pilot, and he uses it to check when they're doing the pre-flight inspections. But I use this all the time. We were just at a men's retreat, and we were walking in the dark at camp, and I used this, just pulled it out of my pocket. This is either in my pocket or in the waistband of my shorts. Everywhere I go, I even sleep with this. And that's what I like. It's small enough that you can just throw it in, you forget about it until you need it. Even in the middle of the night, if you go to get up, you need just a little bit of light. I love this little light, and I'm putting it right back in my pocket so I don't leave it on this table. I guess we'll stick with lighting. These lights, like I said, these were sent to me. This is from Last Fit. I think that's something like that. I actually bought a set of these when I first got my truck. This was the very first upgrade I did to my truck, and these are the reverse lights. I think it takes 10 minutes maybe. You basically pull out, I think there's 2 or 3 T something. You're gonna have to figure that out. The tail light assembly comes out. You undo a twist, pop this in, and you're good to go. Make sure you don't look at this when you check the lights to make sure they're working. I made that mistake and blinded myself. These are not that expensive, and it makes a huge difference, especially backing up. With this, you don't even really need any extra auxiliary lighting. It helps. But with something like this, LED lights in the back, that makes a huge difference. And it's a lot safer too. Parking lots, whatever, people know you're backing up because these are almost as bright as headlights. So there's lots of companies that do it. I had them for about 3 years before they started going out on me. They've got a 1-year warranty on these. So the 3 years, obviously, that didn't work, but I've been happy with these. These are a little bit more expensive. These are headlight replacements, so we'll come to those in a minute here. I don't remember exactly how much all this stuff costs. But next we're going to move into radios. So now I've got a GMRS radio here. This is a stand-in for the one that's in my truck. I think this is actually technically a ham radio. But I guess that depends on what the person in your life uses. You can never have too many radios. It seems like anytime we go somewhere, I always keep a couple of these in the truck, and I'll just hand them out to people, whether it's somebody in the group that doesn't have one, or a spotter, or you're going off as a group in an area without cell phone service. These are really handy to just be able to talk to each other, and they don't take up that much space. But something like this is not that expensive. There's lots of different models and brands and everything. GMRS radios can go all the way from $20 or $30 all the way up to probably as much as you really want to spend on them. Is there a big difference if you're using a lot? Probably. These are just nice to have. Gives you a little bit of peace of mind too, just to be able to communicate if for some reason, cell phone networks go down or all that kind of other stuff. So just communication methods would be another great gift idea. Well, these are in the front, so we'll go here. These are headlight replacement bulbs. This is new from Diode Dynamics. They did send me these. I've been running these for a few months now. I've been pretty happy with them. I'm kind of doing a little bit more of a long-term review and maybe do a dedicated video. And then LostFit just sent me these. So kind of compare them, see there's a little bit of a price difference between them. We can get into that on the dedicated video. I like doing these. They're not officially, well, not at all, street legal to replace your halogen bulbs with LED bulbs. So I do these as my high beams. So I can be on the road using my normal stock, whatever light bulbs, not violating any laws. And then off-road, I've got these. I can just flip them on real quick. And especially if you don't want to run wires and put in auxiliary lights and all that, then that makes a really good upgrade. Keeps it street legal. You don't have to worry about reflections in the snow and coming back on you or anything. Just keep in your stock low beams, throw these high beams in, and they come in, both of these companies make them. They look like they're both fairly similar in quality and everything. We'll see as we do a little bit more of a long-term test on these, but that's a great way to get a ton more light output without doing a lot of work. Again, pretty simple, similar to the backup bulbs. You're just going to basically, whatever vehicle you have, undo the housing, get that wire out, and then replace it, stick it back in. Pretty simple. We'll save this for a minute. It's a little bit more pricey. So one of the next things, this is a Coleman grill. I have the Blackstone Adventure model. It's a little bit bigger than this, but it takes up a ton of space in the back of the truck. It's heavy. You got to carry a big, you don't have to, but it works best off of a 20-pound propane tank. And it's just a lot to carry. So we actually bought this. It was an end of season clearance sale. And we got a really good deal on this. And we take this 90% of the time now when we're going somewhere. It uses the 1-pound tanks. You could probably put a 20-pound on here, but it works really well with the 1-pound. We use cast iron skillets on here. There's lots of things that you could use, different pots, pans, whatever. And you get a nice propane grill with this. Compact, lightweight, easy to take with you. From there, we'll segue into other kitchen stuff that would be really nice to have. And a lot of this is going to depend on what they already have. If they've got one cast iron, maybe they want another. Maybe they want a better coffee pot, an upgrade, a backup, a bigger size, whatever that is. You can never go wrong with cast iron. It's super durable. It's a little bit heavy, but we're not backpacking. If you're overweight by one cast iron pan, you've taken way too much stuff. I really like them. They're easy to clean. You just get some hot water. You don't have to worry about soap or anything. You just kind of scrape stuff out, and they're good to go. They're non-stick. You don't have to worry about the plastics, and you're getting a little bit extra iron. So it's a win-win. It's like a supplement, basically. You can never have too many bowls, plates, that stuff. It always seems, in our box, we have a set of 4 of everything. So plates, bowls, utensils, and cups. Never seems to fail. We'll get out somewhere, and a group will come over to us, and now we don't have plates for everybody. So extra, that kind of stuff, kitchenware, it's just nice to have. Next, we'll get into the Zoleo. This is what I use. There's a lot of benefits to this, to some of the other brands. Right now, 5 years from now, maybe that changes. But this is going to take the place of the satellite communicator. Being able to communicate, as we talked about with the radios, this is a lot more long distance and better to use in an emergency. I wouldn't recommend relying on GMRS or even ham radios in an emergency. That's all you got, give it a shot. But having something like this, or the new iPhones actually have a function in here. I don't know how well it works. I haven't used it. I haven't heard of anybody that's had to use it, which is a good thing. For those of you who don't know, this connects to a satellite network, and you're able to send messages out here. So I'm able to text off of this. It connects to my phone with Bluetooth, and I can type my text message in. It sends it through the satellites to this. It's kind of slow. You're not having quick conversations or anything. My wife and I were in an area where we didn't have any cell phone service. Plans changed. So I had my mom back home book us a campsite, so we knew we had one when we got there, and we didn't have to worry about that. This will check the weather, sunrise, sunset, all that. So it's just nice to have. And it has an SOS function. So if something bad were to happen, you can push this button and get some sort of rescue response network working to come save you. Depends a lot on where you're at, what resources are there. Probably going to take a whole lot longer than you want to. It's not like calling 911 and the fire truck from 2 blocks down the road comes over. Having this, just peace of mind. I actually sent this with my dad. He went on a fishing trip up to Canada. No, we weren't sure if they were going to have cell phone service or not, so I sent this with him, and at least he had some way of communicating if something happened. Luckily, that SOS button has never been pushed. Satellite communicator, Garmin makes one, Zoleo makes one, there's a couple other companies, and the iPhone, all good options to check out. In that same breath of preparedness, we're going to go with med kits. So this is from Duration Health. This is a prescription medical bag. And it's got various prescriptions. There's different levels based off of what you're doing. But they've got a team of physicians that comes up with what the best medications for your use. If you're going to an area with malaria, they can get some malaria medications in there. If you're going to an area with something else, they might be able to get that in there. So they've got the standard kit, but then they're able to customize that to whatever you need. A little pricey, but if you're going somewhere where you're not going to have access to medical care, it's a great peace of mind to have. Hopefully you never use it, but I take this on pretty much every trip we go on, just in case. I've got it here in case there's a natural disaster. I've got access to some, this isn't anything crazy, but basic medications. And then I went to the drugstore and I bought a bunch of over-the-counter things like Neosporin, some allergy meds like Benadryl. I think it's got some of that in here. I don't remember all. I basically looked at their list and then I went through the drugstore and got a bunch of other stuff, which is nice because there's all this extra space. You can add different creams, and if you have prescription medications for other things, you can put them in here. Just one bag you got to grab and take with you going up to wherever you're going. The other thing you can do is an actual first aid kit. I don't have one here because I make my own. I've done some videos on that in the past of the benefits to buying one versus making one, and I'm going to have that video linked at the end, and you can go check that out to see what the best option. I kind of go through a little bit more detail on this and also what I would recommend for you in a medical bag. There's a lot of companies that make some really good ones. I would stay away from Amazon. Now, there are some decent ones on there, but if you can find an actual reputable company, you don't want to be cheaping out when your life depends on it. So first aid kits are great, and they're useful driving down the road if you come across a car accident. Kid falls off a bike, skins his knee. You can put some gauze on it to stop the bleeding. Anything like that, it's not just for gunshot wounds or burns on a campfire or whatever. You can use it anywhere. And the last item on the table here today is a sleeping bag. This was actually a gift from my mom 2 Christmases ago. And this is from Nemo. This is actually designed for backpacking. So this is the storage bag. And when you put it in the actual travel bag, it gets very small. It's small, lightweight, it's easy to carry. Normally I just leave it like this because it's easier to put it in this bag than a small one. My wife has the women's version of this, and they actually zip together and make one big sleeping bag, which is kind of nice. Honestly, most of the times I end up just using this as a blanket because it's so warm. I have to open it up and crawl out of it. But sleeping bags are really nice, and especially up in a rooftop tent in the fall and spring, it's nice to have something that's a little bit better than just a blanket. So running out of room on the table, so we cleared all that off, and now I've got the last thing or group of things. And that is all inside of this Outlast waterproof bag. Now, they sent this over to me a few months ago. It seems like a fairly new company, and I just wanted to give it a try. So this has been living in the back of my truck ever since then. There's a little bit of wear and tear, some scuffs and stuff, but no major damage. Everything inside is still dry. In case you don't know, the bed of a pickup truck is not waterproof. There's all kinds of holes and little spots where you can mount things, but water gets in through there, and I've run a bunch of wires, so I've made it even worse. Long story short, a waterproof bag is kind of necessary in the back of a truck. I'm going to do a dedicated video on this bag and how I have it set up in the coming weeks here, hopefully, and I want you to watch that, so I'm not going to go too far in depth on this. So this bag is set up basically as a bug out 24 to 48 hour bag. I've got a lot of stuff in here like my hammock. I've got some stuff to purify water. I have some extra clothes. In between here and what I have in the truck, I'm not worried about cold weather, wet weather, any of that kind of stuff. I have a little bit of food in here. That's probably the one thing that this bag is lacking, is any sort of real food. I've got some more snacky things and that kind of stuff. I do have ramen noodles, so I've got a meal, maybe 2 meals in here. But this is kind of set up as a bug out bag. Pretty low chances that I'm going to need that, but more as kind of a catch-all for all the stuff that I want to have for just a quick overnight adventure. I can throw a couple of these other things in the truck. I've got this and I'm pretty much ready to go. This I would recommend checking these out. I'll link this down in the description below. It's a small American company, and I've been happy with the quality so far. Now moving into kind of the next tier is all of the expensive stuff that's on the truck. Obviously I'm not taking my truck apart to bring it in here. And it's raining outside, so we're not going out there. You're gonna have to use your imagination. You've seen pictures, you can imagine. So one thing that would be really cool would be a rack or upgrades for the rack. So Extrusion Overland that I've worked with, they sell these panels here. This makes a really good storage spot. This is an extra one I had, and I just bolted it to the wall, and I can hang straps, mount stuff. This can is actually on there with the mount that it normally would be on the truck. And so if somebody already has a rack, maybe they're looking for some upgrades for it, maybe they're looking for a rack, they can get expensive. So if you don't want that, maybe contribute some money towards it. The other thing would be a tent or accessories for a tent. Maybe they need an awning for it. They want a shower, something like that. That's obviously going to be a decision that's made with that person, not a surprise. Though if somebody gives you a rooftop tent as a gift and you're upset about that. Other stuff that would be really cool would be lights. If somebody already has some lights, maybe they want more to illuminate different sides of the vehicle. I really like having some bright lights up front that I can control and some down low. I really like the fog lights. Throws a lot of light off to the side. You can see deer and things from the sides coming out at you, and it gets light down low. But I also like lights off the sides and off the back for when you're getting into camp or trying to back up on a trail. You can never have too many lights, especially at the end of the day when everybody's tired. You just want to be in camp, frustrated. Not that I would ever get frustrated. My wife's probably laughing if she's watching this. But just to be able to see everything where you're going, if you're pulling a trailer, anything like that, it makes a huge difference. They start from a few $100s for a good one. I wouldn't really recommend some of the box store ones. They work okay, but they just don't last very long. I've been really happy with my lights from Diode Dynamics. The quality is great. The light output's good. It's a much better light than some of the other ones you're looking at. There's other companies that make good lights too. That's just my experience, what I've used. Now, I promised a bonus tip, and there's a lot of people that already have all this stuff and even more. They've got a built-out truck. They've got all the lights they could ever need. They've got sweet rooftop tent. They've got the alu-cab. They've got everything. You're like, what the heck do I get them? They got more coffee than they'll ever be able to drink. Well, what about a trip? Now, that's obviously in that top tier category, but if you know they're going somewhere, maybe you can contribute some money for an event or something. On our honeymoon, my mom gave us some money to do something just like that. We ended up using it to rent a Polaris slingshot for a couple hours, and we were driving it through the Smoky Mountains on the Dragon's Tail and everything. That was awesome. That was still one of the highlights of the trip for me, and I still think about that and think about that my mom gave us the money so we could do it. And so things like that, it doesn't have to be pay $10,000 for a trip to some other country, or it doesn't have to be crazy. Whitewater rafting was the highlight for me of our last trip, and that wasn't that expensive. So if it's a family member, friend, whatever, to do that, I'm sure they would really appreciate it. Another thing to consider would be subscriptions. There's a lot of things out there. The Zoleo has a subscription. There's mapping software for phones, computers, whatever. That's subscription based. There's a lot of other things. There's some different social media platforms that have subscriptions. Some YouTubers have like a Patreon or something. So maybe a subscription like that, or upgrading the current level they have from maybe they're at the basic, maybe you go up to the next tier and they get a bunch of more texts or more features or more whatever. That would be a really thoughtful gift for someone that's already got all of this stuff. Let me know in the comments down below what you would like to get as a gift. Maybe a loved one or a friend is watching. They'll see your name pop up and you might end up with a new sleeping bag. Like I promised, that video is going to be right here of my recommendations for first aid kits and a recent trip down here. Check them out.